All right. Now that the Oscars are over and Black Panther won three of them, I bet you think I'm going to talk about whether or not I got the Oscars right. No, I didn't do that the first time. Why would I do that now? I got a couple of them right. Point is, though, hype has been building around a Black Panther sequel since the day that the first one dropped a little over a year ago. So I'm not just gonna bash this movie because it doesn't exist yet. I'm gonna say what I think they could do regarding a Black Panther sequel, narratively and as far as like a theme goes. I have a couple of decent ideas considering that there are no Black Panther villains left. So we'll just start borrowing from the Marvel Cinematic Universe not the MCU, the Marvel Universe greater and see what we can take into this one movie and hopefully we end up with something good. We'll find out. So the most important thing is we need to find out what type of character arc T'Challa is going to have. Because his arc in the first movie wasn't very strong. We need a better one here. We need him adjusting to what's happening to Wakanda now that other people are allowed to come in. We need him adjusting to having been brought back to life after returning to sand or dust or whatever. Maybe he doesn't want to be Black Panther right away. Maybe Shuri does take over as Black Panther for a moment in the movie. Maybe M'Baku. Maybe Bucky becomes White Wolf. Something like that. Somebody needs to be out enforcing what the Black Panther would do while he's taking to being a king and adjusting to ruling his people while everybody's scared of the next huge attack that could come. Because apparently, remember, it's been a couple of years. It's been like 3 years. So it might have even been longer. There's a rumor that there's a 5-year time gap between Infinity War and Endgame. So it could have been 7 years between Civil War and the time Black Panther 2 takes place. There needs to be some growth. There needs to be a little bit of unease because remember, T'Challa would have been dead for a long time. So it's just like, you're back, but that doesn't really mean that Wakanda can just go back to the way that it was when you were ruling. Things changed while you were gone. It's gonna be difficult to turn things back over. Maybe they need to have another challenge for T'Challa to become king again. I don't know. But the most important thing is him finding out what it truly takes to be a king and making things work when it's not very easy. Last movie, he was figuring out who he was. Now we need to continue that, but focus more on King and less on like, oh, my family lied to me or whatever. Step into the spotlight. Villains. Villains are important in this movie. I think a return of Batroc at the beginning would be pretty cool. Tie it back into Captain America: The Winter Soldier because he was a pretty cool secondary villain. But a primary villain, we need another king. We need a king that doesn't have that altruistic nature that T'Challa has, doesn't really care about the benefit of other people besides his people. A king that is kind of evil to challenge the way that T'Challa perceives being a king, being a leader, being a ruler. And maybe he needs to challenge the other king's ideology with his own so we can have a psychological battle and a physical battle. And I don't think there's anybody that better fits that position than Namor the Submariner. Now, on the surface, you'd probably see Namor and be like, oh, so he's Marvel Aquaman. Aquaman is DC's version of Namor, alright? Get it straight, okay? Namor can fly. Namor has a fire trident. Namor's got all types of powers, dude. Namor is awesome. But he's, more importantly, he has butted heads with Black Panther multiple times in the comics. They are two of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe. They've both had spots in the Illuminati, which the Illuminati is a team of basically super geniuses that have to do some dirty, gritty stuff to protect the world. It's usually got T'Challa, Namor, Beast, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, some other people that I can't think of right now. But, oh yeah, Reed Richards is always a part of it. Point is, though, I think Namor could be a really good foil for Black Panther as a character. You could give him a similar motive to Ocean Master, or it could be kind of closer to the way that Aquaman is in the comics. It's like, for years, for centuries, for millennia, we've sat at the bottom of the ocean just dealing with it while the world around us is falling apart, we don't get involved because we mind our own business, but obviously we can't do that anymore because the last time we let the surface dwellers handle things, half of my people got turned to dust. So I think it's time I do something. I step up. I let the surface people know, like, hey, you're going to stop polluting my ocean. You're going to stop blowing each other up. You're going to stop letting aliens show up and just start blowing up the cities. You're going to let me take over. I will free you from your own destructive capabilities. I'll rule the way that I rule Atlantis. Does that work? Cool. Also, Atlantis is real. So you kind of have a similar motive to Killmonger, but Namor doesn't want to kill everybody. He just wants to control them, I guess. And Black Panther's like, well, I can't let you do that because people deserve a shot to, like, be their own person. It sucks that we can't help everybody, but Namor, this isn't our fault. We can't help what people do. You know, we can't control everything. So it's like order must be forced. No, people are good. Kind of like the Batman versus Superman ideology conflict. That's what you could get. You could also get a really cool battle because those two guys are good fighters. There could be a war between Wakanda and Atlantis. That would be cool to see. There's a lot of potential for good stuff out of a T'Challa versus Namor feud in this movie. I imagine that it would be very dull to watch Namor die because he could have the potential to be such a great character moving forward in the MCU. But I also imagine that he wouldn't just surrender. So I'm sure that T'Challa would be in a position to kill him and decide, you know what, I'm going to let you live, so he'll spare him. And then he's like, but if you ever come back here, I won't show you that same mercy. Namor's in no position to fight back at the moment because he's really injured, so he's like, you know what, I'm going to go back to Atlantis. And then he's like talking to his queen or whatever, and they're like, apparently the people of Earth are good because look, they're back and they're finding ways to get about now that the decimation has come and gone. People are, I don't know, there's new heroes, they're out there getting jobs, there's just, this is all speculation based on what I think will end up happening in the MCU after everybody gets brought back in Endgame. But I think that rather than just killing him off or keeping him evil, I think it would be good for Namor to have a Loki-style perspective shift. Like, because he hasn't been to the surface, so everything that he thinks about the surface world is based on, like, notions that he had previously, preconceived notions, I guess what I could have said. But, like, going to the surface after, or in this movie, right, along the way during it, he can see that people do good things for each other. People aren't just bad. There's just some bad people. And he's like, you know what? Instead of targeting all people, I'll target the bad people. So he's kind of like a reluctant hero like he is in the comics. I think that would be cool. The world's mine, not control it. It's a frightful king. And then for a post-credit scene, there could be like a Doctor Doom reference. I don't know. But I think that would be a pretty cool way to go about handling the second Black Panther movie. I think we need some more focus on Wakanda itself and a challenge of his kinghood, the way that he rules his people. That's really what I want to see out of a sequel to Black Panther, because I know it's inevitable, it's going to be happening, Ryan Coogler's going to do it. I just feel like less spectacle, more story. I think that should be the way of the MCU going forward, but hey, I don't make the movies, all I do is talk about them. So I thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.